Hi boys and girls, this is our Language Arts e-learning lesson for Monday, May 11th. We're going to begin with grammar and we're going to do our review of adverbs. And you'll find adverbs on page 246. Let's look what it says at the top. You have learned that an adjective describes a noun or a pronoun. A word that describes a verb is an adverb. Adverbs tell how, when, or where an action happens. The examples. The plane landed smoothly at the airport. Landed is the verb, and then we ask, how did the plane land? It landed smoothly. Soon Jeff would see his grandparents at the gate. See is the verb. When would he see? Soon. So soon answers when. They were waiting for him there. Waiting is the verb, and waiting where? Waiting there. So you can see how the adverbs describe the verbs and always answer the questions how, when, or where. So when you are looking at a sentence, you want to first find your verb, and then you ask yourself the question, well, does it tell me how this happened, when this happened, or where this happened? If you're able to answer those questions with one of the words in the sentence, then it's probably an adverb. Now, they tell us a little bit further down here that many adverbs end with ly, and that's true. There are a lot of adverbs that ends with ly, and it usually makes them very easy to identify them as adverbs. Some of those ly adverbs are included in this list. There are other adverbs on this list as well, and of course, you know, these are not the only adverbs, these are just some of them. So let's take a look at this chart that we have here, and we can see the categories of how, when, and where. So let's take a look. So if you want to know how something happened, you can say it happened fast, quietly, secretly, or slowly. If you take a look at your action, you might ask, well, when did this action take place? Tomorrow, later, again, often, first, next, then. What about where? Where did it take place? Here, inside, far, upstairs, downtown, somewhere, or forward. All right, let's take a look at the try it out section for just a few sample sentences. It says, what adverb describes the underlined verb in each sentence? Does it tell how, when, or where? Well, the verb is already underlined, so we're looking for the adverb that describes that verb, and then deciding, does it tell us how, when, or where? Number 1, Keith and Tina hurried downtown. Hurried is the verb. You ask yourself, does it tell us how they hurried, when they hurried, where they hurried? And in this case, we find that they hurried downtown. And downtown tells us where. Where did they hurry? They hurried downtown. Number 2, they easily found Grove Street Park. Found is the verb. Do we have an adverb? Does it tell us how they found it, when they found it, where they found it? We see that there's the adverb easily. Easily tells us how they found the park. They easily found it. Number 3, then they watched the parade from the corner. The verb is watched. How did they watch? When did they watch? Or where did they watch? And we find that there's the adverb then. Then they watched. So then tells us when. When did they watch it? They watched it then. A robot walked awkwardly toward them. Walked is the verb. Walked how? Walked when? Walked where? Walked awkwardly. Awkwardly tells us how they walked. Tim and Keith immediately recognized Stan. Recognized is the verb. How do they recognize? When do they recognize? Or where do they recognize? And we find the adverb immediately. They immediately recognize Stan, and immediately tells us when. That means right now or at that time, immediately. All right, so again, first find, when you have to find an adverb in the sentence, it's easiest to first find the verb and then look for the word that tells how, when, or where that particular action took place. And that will make identifying the adverb that much easier. All right, what I would like you to do independently is to work on workbook page 120. Okay, sorry about that. Workbook page 120. Okay, now let's take a look at what it says. Artists use colors when they paint pictures, but writers use words. You can use describing words such as adverbs to, quote, paint a picture, unquote, or to create an image. The adverbs you choose make the picture clearer. On the paint cans below, list adverbs that tell how, when, and where. So let's just talk for a minute about what it says there. An artist uses paints. You know, if an artist is a painter and paints a picture, you appreciate it because of the different colors that it has in it, or the different colors help to really show us what something looks like or what the artist thinks something looks like. And we always say about painting a clearer picture when we're writing. And that's not in the literal sense. You're not literally, painting, but it's figurative. And to paint a clearer picture means use words that really help the reader to be able to see things in their mind, to see things the way you as the writer sees things. So here now it says the adverbs, when you use adverbs, the adverbs you choose can make the picture clearer. So we have these paint cans and they're labeled how, when, and where. And there is one adverb that's listed on each. Carefully tells us how something gets done. Yesterday tells us when something got done. And indoors tells us where something got done. There are only 3 other lines on each paint can. You have to add 3 additional adverbs in each category. Okay, looking for 3 more adverbs that will answer the question how something happens, 3 that answers the question when something happens, and 3 adverbs that tell us where something happens. Again, you could always refer back to your textbook and look for some adverbs there in that table, or you can think of some of your own. After you have filled in, you have to first fill in all the cans. Then you can move on to the next part. Now use these adverbs to write 5 different sentences. For each sentence, add 2 different adverbs to the short sentence below. Notice how the meaning of each sentence and the picture you have created change when you use different adverbs. And again, we're talking about that mental picture, how things appear to someone else, okay, how they can visualize something. So the simple sentence is the artist painted. Now at this point, they have only filled in those 3 adverbs carefully, yesterday, and indoors. So it's going to be your job to use 2 different adverbs that you add to the basic sentence. The basic sentence is the artist painted. So the example was, yesterday the artist painted indoors, using 2 of the adverbs from up here, okay, adding to this base sentence and helping to paint a little bit more of a clearer picture. Instead of just the artist painted, we now know when the artist painted, which was yesterday, and we also know where the artist painted, which was indoors. Okay, so you have to write 5 sentences. Each sentence is going to include the words, the artist painted. But in addition to that base sentence, you're going to add 2 of the adverbs that you've added on top. Please make sure that after you have added those 9 adverbs up there, that when you're writing your sentences, you want to make sure that you vary how your sentences are worded, because again, we're using the same base in every sentence, the artist painted. So we want to vary those sentences. Okay? All right. again, if you have questions with that, please make sure you let me know so that I can help you with that. Basically, you just want to start by filling in adverbs here that answer the questions how, when, and where. As I said, you could always refer back to your textbook if you need some ideas. And then once you have filled those in, then you're going to be using the adverbs that you have written up here to add to the sentence, the artist painted. Remember, each of the 5 sentences will have the words, the artist painted. Now you're just adding 2 adverbs to that sentence. Okay. After your grammar, you also have today Wordly Wise, which is section 15E. 15E in Wordly Wise, where you are reading the passage called The Fall and Rise of the Bald Eagle. And then you have to answer the 15 questions. Remember, if a vocabulary word was used within the sentence, then you do not have to use one in your answer. If a vocabulary word was not used in a question, you need to make sure you're using one in your answer. You also have the spelling pretest today for lesson 29, and lesson 29s are words with the shun sound at the end. Okay, so you have the grammar workbook, page 120, spelling pretest, as well as pages 113 and 114 in your spelling book. Wordly Wise, you have the passage to read and answer the questions. And then reading, you have Fever 1793. We're up to chapter 29. So we're just about finished. After this is the epilogue. And then, of course, that'll be followed by a test. Okay? With any of this language arts work, if you need help, you have questions, please make sure you reach out to me so that I can help you out. Okay? Have a good day.